Hey there, in this video we are going to look at the quotient rule. Remember, quotient means division, so the quotient rule is talking about what happens when we are dividing the same base. So if we are dividing two bases that are identical, then we can take the exponents and we can just subtract those exponents to get our new exponent. Remember, the base stays the same, just like in the product rule. When we are dividing, again, we subtract. When we were multiplying with the product rule, the same bases, then we added the exponents. But here, when you divide like bases, we subtract the exponents, right? And we are always going to do the top minus the bottom when we subtract. So an example that we see here, 5 to the third power over 5 to the second power, we would just take the exponents of 3 and 2, we would subtract them to become 1. Now, 5 to the first power is really just 5, so that's why our answer would just be 5. So let's take a look at some examples. So we see here 4 to the 7th over 4 to the 3rd. We have the exact same base in each of these, so we can take our exponents and we can subtract those exponents while leaving the base as 4. So that's going to be 4 to the 4th power. And if you have that memorized, then that's going to be 256. If you don't, then you could write it out 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. You could do 16 times 16. And then that gives you 256, either in your head or with long multiplication. So looking at number 2, we have 3 to the 4th power over 3 to the negative 2nd power. Notice we have the same base here and here. So when we have the same base, we just take those exponents and we subtract the top exponent minus the bottom. So the top exponent is 4, the bottom one is negative 2. So here we are going to leave the base as 3. The top is going to be 4 minus the bottom of negative 2. 4 minus negative 2, when we have that double negative, it turns into plus. So 4 plus 2. And 4 plus 2 is 6. So this is going to be 3 to the 6th power. Now, if you have that memorized, that would be 729. If you don't, then you could take that 3 to the 6th power and you could write it out. For example, like this, with 6 threes being multiplied. And depending on how you're looking at it, if you know 3 to the 3rd power, then you know 3 to the 3rd power is 27. And there's two different 3 to the 3rd powers. So then if you do 27 times itself, then you end up with 729. So you can do long multiplication. You can do it yourself in your head. It really just depends on your comfort level with the multiplication. Now on number 3, we have x to the 3rd over x to the 5th power. X to the 3rd is going to be on top this time, and x to the 5th on bottom. So we have the same base of x and x. So we're going to take that 3rd power and that 5th power and subtract those. So that's going to be x to the 3 minus 5. 3 minus 5 is negative 2, so that will be x to the negative 2nd power. Now remember, we don't want to leave negative exponents in our final answer, so we are going to take this base of x raised to the negative 2nd power, and it's going to become x to the positive 2nd power in the denominator. We don't leave the top empty, so that's going to be 1 over x squared. And then number 4, we have y to the negative 7th over y to the negative 9th. So this time we have two negative exponents, but we do still see that the bases are the same. So we can go ahead and take those exponents and subtract the top minus the bottom. So the base will remain y. The top is negative 7 minus the bottom of negative 9. Negative 7 minus negative 9 is the same as negative 7 plus 9. Really, negative 7 plus 9 is the same as 9 minus 7. So that's going to be 2. Once you have that, then we have y to the 2nd power. It's already a positive exponent, so that would be your final answer. So in summary with the quotient rule, and remember quotient means we are dividing the bases. When we have the same bases being divided, then we go ahead and we subtract those exponents. So for example, when we have something like x to the 6th over x to the 2nd, that would become x to the 4th power because we would do 6 minus 2. If we have negative exponents, we always want to move those negative exponents to the denominator so that we then have positive exponents.